Good morning to all of you, and thank you, Professor Namrata Sharma, for including me in this very important instruction course on infectious keratitis. I think we had gone through the entire gamut of infections, their presentations, their treatment, and despite all those accessory measurements, that means diagnosing them, making a good investigative efforts, we do have patients landing up with surgeries because most patients with the difficult situations, large corneal ulcers, deep corneal ulcers, especially difficult organisms which we discussed earlier may require therapeutic grafts. Therefore, I think the surgical intervention is one of the most important aspects of treating infectious keratitis. So I'll be dealing with the indications for a therapeutic grafts in these patients, what are the pre-op measures we take, the surgical techniques, important tips, and what are the post-op management, their outcome will be discussed here. Looking at indications of therapeutic grafts, you all know cases with perforations, which are not, that means they have not healed properly, impending corneal perforation, fistulas, and ulcers which are non-responding to your maximal treatment would be cases for indication of therapeutic grafts. In this way, any ulcer which is not healing with your treatment or ulcers which could not get definitive diagnosis in terms of organisms may be a candidate for therapeutic graft as such. It is important to realize that time factor for these patients. You should not wait too long to get the ulcer to reach up to the limbus and beyond or causing endophthalmitis in these patients. Therefore, it has to be done before. If you look into this study published by Dr. Sharma et al., you would say in India it may be the largest indication for therapeutic grafts. Almost 30% of the cases would require a therapeutic grafts compared to other countries which is less. But if you look into our indications, almost 50% of them are bacterial keratitis, around 30% are fungal. So if you look into that, almost 70% of cases are fungal or bacterial. Acanthamoeba in our country is less, but if you look into a study from Singapore, they would say around 28% or 30% cases of acanthamoeba. So fortunately in our country, acanthamoeba keratitis may be less or they are not diagnosed that often. And maybe contact lens is not that common in our country, which is the prime related organism for inducing acanthamoeba keratitis. Fungal keratitis in other countries like South America, it is around 38% of cases which would require a therapeutic grafts. Preoperatively, I think it's very important to document your case. Any case of bacterial keratitis or fungal keratitis or let it any infectious keratitis coming for treatment has to be documented properly, and more so for a patient undergoing surgery because you are replacing something and it has to be documented because prognosis sometimes even after therapeutic grafts may be worse than what it was earlier. So it is very important to document your cases, do ultrasound to rule out endophthalmitis in these cases. Counseling is very, very important in these patients. As I said, the results may be sometimes may not be as good as we see in a normal penetrating graft for optical reasons. Antibiotics or antifungals should be started before surgery in these cases, a day or two before. And especially look for a patient who are on a steroid should be stopped. You should not start steroid in these patients. Surgery-wise, you can put IV mannitol before you took for surgeries. Looking to the type of donor tissue we use for optical grafts is always better, but therapeutic grafts we always tend to use a non-optical tissue. But the results would be far better if you have access to optical grade tissue in these cases. GA would be preferred indication for most cases because there will be a perforated cases. Sometimes doing a block in these cases can have a damaging effect to your cases. The goal of surgery, you all know, would be to eliminate the infection from the eye. And sometimes in a non-organism isolation to begin with, maybe these surgical pieces will give you some indication or some pickup of organisms by histopath or culture from the tissue we have removed from these cases. If possible, a visual rehabilitation in these patients if the graft survives in these cases. Technique-wise, it's very simple. The idea is to go in such a manner where it encompasses the entire area of infections. That means around 0.5 to 1 millimeter larger graft should be given in these patients. Sharp refine so that in a soft eye you can refine better. If you have a rigid or a refine which is not that sharp, you can have a lot of pressure and you can have intraocular tissues or structures coming out. Defer lens surgery because lens is a barrier for infection going behind. Always use interrupted sutures so that each individual suture can be managed subsequently if they get infiltrated. Intracameral antibiotics, antifungal can be used. Some cases we use intravitreal also. If you look into this particular case, a severe ulcer post-epileptic case, young patient, and inaccurate PR to begin with. So sometimes with such a massive infection and blockage, patient may not respond in terms of a PR, and sometimes there may be some sort of toxic reaction to the posterior segment, and patient may not have a good accurate PR. But if you do surgery in these patients, sometimes the patient gets back the vision. So you should not be disheartened by seeing patient doesn't have a good response. This patient gained ultimately 6/18 vision surgery done by Dr. Namrata Sharma. So that is what looking into infectious keratitis, look for early surgery in these patients. Other indications which you look is, apart from full thickness graft, we can do a lamellar keratoplasty also, and the indications are sometimes acanthamoeba keratitis, fungal keratitis, and patients with post-refractive or post-LASIK surgeries, people look for a lamellar graft in these patients. Descemetocele, that may be post-infectious cases, may be a good indication for doing lamellar keratoplasty. The techniques for lamellar keratoplasty will depend on the depth of lesion or depth of ulcer in that particular group. You can go for a maximum depth lamellar keratoplasty or big bubble keratoplasty in these cases. So this is one case of post-infectious keratitis descemetocele. So this is a technique described by us to do a sort of opening of stroma from the central part of the area where it is exposed by the descemetocele by viscoelastic, and subsequently you can complete a DALF procedure in these patients with very, very good results. So these are sometimes very satisfying cases of doing a lamellar procedure in descemetocele post-infectious keratitis. I think surgery is one part because that may be simple, and as I said, the goal is to remove the infectious part of the eye and get the new donor tissue in these cases. But the post-op management is much more important than what we do in these cases. What about starting a systemic antimicrobial treatment? Bacterial keratitis, yes, you should start one day before the surgery and continue for at least 2 weeks or more, depending on the patient's response. And other way around, if you look into fungal keratitis, the treatment for an antifungal systemic is for a longer period. You should be going for not less than 6 to 8 weeks. Don't stop antifungal within a first week or so. Once you have started, you should go for at least 6 to 8 weeks. And antiviral systemic treatment should be a full dose to begin with for at least 10 days. Then subsequently to a maintenance dose of 400 milligram BD for next 3 to 6 months. And that is what normally recommended. Some people do it for 1 year also. And topical medications, we all know, it should be started 1 hourly in all these cases, bacterial one, and continue and taper them as per the response. Antifungals, at least 8 to 12 weeks, as long as you are giving antifungals, it's always better. It will take the response combined with the antifungal system you have started in these patients, because the response penetration is very, very less in these cases. Looking to other way around, corticosteroid, what has been discussed earlier, Dr. Tushar highlighted, it should be started in those cases of bacterial keratitis where you see that there is no recurrence of disease. And in fact, post-therapeutic grafts, steroids in bacterial keratitis part will start early. But in antifungal wise, for patients of fungal keratitis, we like to wait for some time, see the response. If patient doesn't have a recurrence, then you can start. If the defect has healed, you can start steroid under guidance, or maybe patient is in a regular follow-up frequently in these situations. And other way around, if you look for a viral keratitis, can be given safely. And acanthamoeba keratitis, you should be very careful using antifungals. Sometimes we do give for those cases where you have a severe uveitis associated with acanthamoeba keratitis, which is quite common in most cases. Systemic corticosteroid doesn't have a massive role in bacterial keratitis or a fungal keratitis as such. Cycloplegic should be started in all patients. Anti-glaucoma medication may be given in those patients where you have rise of pressure. Looking for the other way around, outcome-wise, if you look various studies which has reviewed the literature and our results also, shows that cure rate is almost 90 to 100% in bacterial keratitis. If you look into a success rate, that is visual acuity gain in these patients will be less than 50%. Same holds true for fungal keratitis also. Though cure rate will be slightly less in bacterial keratitis patient undergoing therapeutic grafts, while viral will be almost 100 patients. So you look at the therapeutic grafts, you can have a very good outcome like this patient, and you can do a DALK procedure also. And the complications are, as you see in a routine case of optical grafts, if you have a fakey guy, you can develop cataract. Glaucoma is very important part. But the recurrence of infection is very, very high in these cases of therapeutic grafts, especially in a large ulcers. Fungal keratitis will have more recurrence than bacterial keratitis as such. Peripheral patch grafts is another alternative therapeutic options for people with peripheral perforations and desmatoseals. And this is a post-LASIK patient coming out with infectious keratitis under the flap. Subsequently, the flap would melt out in most cases if you do a re-lifting of flap, scraping. The chances of flap survival is very, very less in these patients and may require ultimately a therapeutic graft. And same holds true for doing a deep lamellar keratoplasty. Sometimes you may not achieve the total separation or total removal of stroma, which may be infective. Like this patient underwent a DALK procedure. Subsequently, after a DALK also there is a recurrence of infection. So you may require a full thickness graft in these patients. Therefore, lamellar procedures in infectious keratitis, you have to be very, very careful to look into these patients. Maybe they require a much more longer follow-up. The recurrence chances would be higher in these cases also. The outcome will be depending on a type of severity or inflammation in these patients, because inflammation in the post-op period will cause of a high intraocular pressure. Recurrence of disease will also cause failure of graft, and type of microorganisms like we discussed, bacterial, fungal, viral, will depend the outcome as such, and associated other things with the patient. To summarize the therapeutic grafts in infectious keratitis, it has a role in a large number of patients where we normally don't succeed with the antimicrobial treatment, especially in those patients where you could not isolate the organisms. If you have a group of patients who have isolated organisms, you have a sensitivity, chances of requiring therapeutic graft is less than those patients where you have no isolations. The primary aim is to maintain the integrity of globe and achieve visual rehabilitation in some patients where grafts succeed. We have seen around 50% of therapeutic grafts may succeed in a way of giving some sort of visual rehabilitation. And around 100% success will be there in a bacterial viral keratitis patient undergoing therapeutic grafts. Not true for a fungal, because around 80% of patients will have success of cure. Lamellar procedure may be a technique of preference for many people, but I still feel it may not be a 100% cure in patients compared to the optical grafts where you remove the entire diseased tissue. And intensive post-op care is very, very important for a successful reorganization of these patients, because most patients may come back with a recurrence and may require a repeat therapeutic graft in these patients. So if you use a good, normal, healthy donor tissue, maybe the outcome will be better. Thank you for your kind listening.